Look at me. This is a scam. It's a whole hoax. They've defeated ISIS.
We all know he does it.
He's the Babe Ruth of lies.
What should we believe? Who can we trust? Tonight, a CNN special report. All the president's lies.
President Trump has reacted to Epstein's death in what is sadly a very unsurprising way. He is spreading a conspiracy theory that the Clintons had Epstein killed. Let that sink in. We are hearing from a Native American elder and Vietnam War veteran speaking to CNN after a disturbing viral video shows a group of teens harassing and mocking him in the nation's capital. And this was on Friday on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial when he saw a clash erupting between a group of teenage students and 4 African American young men preaching about the Bible and oppression.
Preaching about the Bible and oppression.
Your president is a homosexual. On the back of your dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust," but you give faggots rights.
4 African American young men preaching about the Bible and oppression. Let that sink in, because this is Donald Trump. This is what we've come to expect.
Governor Scott Walker activating the National Guard to assist police and declaring a state of emergency. Smith's family and friends holding a vigil marked by prayers.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
Milwaukee police say they made multiple arrests overnight. We're still waiting on those final numbers. It comes on top of the 17 arrests made.
With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
With his sister calling for peace.
Y'all burning down shit we need in our community. Take that shit to the suburbs. Burn that shit down. We need our shit. Y'all want to hurt somebody, take that shit further out.
Will be done.
With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here. Don't bring it here. Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here. And y'all want us to sit here and be quiet, get welfare checks, and get SSI. Nah, fuck them buildings. I hope them motherfuckers burn down tonight. If anything gonna go, let them go.
With his sister calling for peace.
Don't bring the violence here and the ignorance here.
Let that sink in. This isn't the first, no, it's not the second or even the third time the president has made baseless claims.
President has made baseless claims.
President Trump and his son Don Jr. said this week white men have a lot to fear right now.
What do you say to young men in America? Well, I say that it's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of.
White men have a lot to fear right now.
It's a very scary time for young men in America.
White men.
White men have a lot to fear right now.
Let that sink in. President Trump and his son Don Jr. said this week white men have a lot to fear right now.
Right? I got boys and I got girls. And when I see what's going on right now, it's scary.
He's also suggested Senator Ted Cruz's dad was involved in JFK's assassination.
You know, his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being shot. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. What is this right prior to his being shot? And nobody even brings it up. I mean, they don't even talk about that. That was reported, and nobody talks about it.
Right. There was a picture out there that reportedly shows Rafael Cruz standing with Lee Harvey Oswald.
I mean, what was he doing with
Senator Ted Cruz's dad was involved in JFK's assassination.
His father. I don't know his father. I met him once. So they have a picture, an old picture, having breakfast with Lee Harvey Oswald. Now, nothing, I'm not saying anything. They said, and here's how the press takes that story. So this had nothing to do with me. The press takes that and they say, Donald Trump and his conspiracy theories, he went out and said his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald and he assassinated the president. What did I do?
That Justice Antonin Scalia was murdered because a pillow was found over his face.
And even though it was determined that he died of natural causes, that didn't stop Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump from weighing in on the conspiracy theories. Take a listen.
I just landed, and I'm hearing it's a big topic, that's the question. And it's a horrible topic, but they say they found the pillow on his face, which is a pretty unusual place to find a pillow.
I can't tell you what, I can't give you an answer. You know, usually I like to give you answers, but I literally just heard it a little while ago. It's just starting to come out now.
That Joe Scarborough may have been involved in his intern's death. This isn't the first, no, it's not the second or even the third time the president has made baseless claims. Baseless claims. Baseless claims. Baseless claims. Let that sink in.
I ain't the killer, but don't push me. Revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting pussy.
Baseless claims that there was something fishy about the suicide of Vince Foster, a former Clinton aide.
Trump told the Washington Post Foster's death was, quote, very fishy. I will say there are people who continue to bring it up because they think it was absolutely a murder. I don't do that because I don't think it's fair.
Cruel, irresponsible, and wrong?
Well, the question was asked about Vince Foster, and it was asked of me. What do you think of Vince Foster? I really know nothing about the Vince Foster situation. I haven't known anything about it, and somebody asked me the question the other day, and I said that a lot of people are very skeptical as to what happened and how he died. I know nothing about it. I don't think it's something that, frankly, really, unless some evidence to the contrary of what I've seen comes up, I don't think it's something that should really be part of the campaign. But again, if you people reveal something to me, I'll answer it the appropriate way.
Don't forget, he started the birther movement.
Bullshit alert. Bullshit alert.
Hillary is a birther. 2008, she was the original birther. She's the one that started that whole thing.
Let that sink in.
This started with Hillary Clinton.
Don't forget, he started the birther movement.
And it was spread by the Clinton team.
We're just telling
back
the truth.
in 2000.
I don't recall that, but if you're telling me that was the case, I just don't recall.
John Heilman?
It was the case. It
was the case. Thank you, John Heilman.
Meantime, the president also saying he is going to officially make a demand tomorrow for the FBI to investigate the DOJ, or I guess the DOJ to investigate the DOJ regarding an alleged informant and whether that person was used for political purposes during the campaign. Does he have the power to demand this kind of investigation?
And you're so stupid.
Does he have the power? Does he have the power? Does he have the power to demand this kind of investigation?
I like that. He's gonna get us into a nuclear war. Women. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. I like that.
He have the power to...
I mean, give me a break.
The president also has the power to issue executive orders, which allows him to direct the actions of members of the executive branch without it having to be approved by Congress.
He could certainly ask, and I don't have a problem with that inquiry because it's going to show that the FBI started this operation as a counterintelligence operation. They were trying to protect the Trump campaign against Russia and influence by foreign power. And it turns out that it morphed into a criminal investigation because there were Trump campaign officials that engaged with the Russians in inappropriate ways. Two of them that the informant allegedly spoke to, George Papadopoulos and Michael Flynn, have already pled guilty.
Come again?
Braga, we have some breaking news out of Washington. Former Trump campaign aide George Papadopoulos has been sentenced to 14 days in jail and a year of parole.
And it turns out that it morphed into a criminal investigation because there were Trump campaign officials that engaged with the Russians in inappropriate ways.
The special counsel did not find any conspiracy to violate U.S. law involving Russian-linked persons and any persons associated with the Trump campaign.
When George Papadopoulos first pled guilty to lying to the FBI last October, there were many in the mainstream media predicting this meant the walls were finally closing in on President Trump. One pundit after another declaring it was a bombshell.
What this says to me is that Papadopoulos, between July and October, was wearing a wire. He was recording conversations secretly with people who are subjects and targets of this investigation. That's the only reasonable explanation.
Last fall, the left kept pushing the narrative that the president was in deep trouble because Papadopoulos' interactions with an FBI informant and an alleged source for the unverified anti-Trump dossier might unlock the key to Trump campaign collusion with Russia to try and get dirt on Hillary Clinton.
If he was wearing a wire this summer and fall.
This is before Robert Mueller. This is at the time of James Comey.
And apparently, specifically, what Papadopoulos lied about was whether he was part of the Trump campaign when he had that meeting with the professor. He conceded to having the meeting.
Because it's very clear what happened here. Operation Crossfire Hurricane was a counterintelligence operation. No one disputes that the FBI had legitimate reasons to do that. And now we see that some people have pled guilty because of that investigation. And oh, by the way, 2 of your campaign officials already pled guilty because they acted inappropriately with the Russians.
What's fascinating about this is, are we interested anymore about following the evidence, or has partisan blinders made us just, put us in our boxes?
Trump raised questions about Senator Marco Rubio's eligibility to be president because his parents were not born in the U.S.
Do you really believe that? Not so much with Marco. I'm not really that familiar with Marco's circumstance.
But Trump raised questions about Senator Marco Rubio's eligibility to be president.
As you know,
Do you think the same cloud hangs over Marco Rubio?
No, I don't think so. No, it's a very different thing.
Because he was born in the United States.
He was born here. It's different. He was born on the land.
Trump also raised similar eligibility questions about Senator Ted Cruz because he was born in Canada.
But what do you think? What's your opinion? Do you agree with Larry Trump?
I'll be honest. It doesn't matter what I think. There's a doubt. You can't have a doubt.
But you're running for the highest office of the land. You're running for president.
I'm just saying this. Look, I know, but the point is it doesn't really matter. There is a doubt. I'll tell you what I think. I think there's a big doubt.
Trump conveniently ignored the fact that his own mother wasn't born in the U.S.
So what is it about Scotland? What is it that brings you
back when your mother's born in a certain place, and I had a great mother, a beautiful, wonderful mother with a tremendous heart, and she loved Scotland.
Trump conveniently ignored the fact that his own mother wasn't born in the U.S.
And that's why it was so important for you to be in this place, to be part of it.
And to do something spectacular. And I think of my mother, and this is a tremendous place and just a wonderful place.
President Trump went on to claim that President Obama wiretapped Trump Tower.
President Trump has been proven right about wiretapping, and guess what? The all-knowing, holier-than-thou, destroy Trump propaganda media has been caught in a massive lie and a major cover-up. Now, the mainstream media has been misleading all of you, the American people, for months and months about this story.
The bottom line is, and always has been, there is no evidence that Donald Trump was wiretapped by Barack Obama. It was and continues to be a lie.
Our conspiracy theory president is at it again. And whenever something like this happens, I wonder, what are the president's sources of information? Where is he getting these ideas?
His own Justice Department publicly said this did not happen.
It's been denied by President Obama, by the former director of national intelligence, and now we know it as well by the FBI director. They are all saying it did not happen.
Trump claimed he saw and read about Muslim Americans celebrating on 9/11. Absolutely no footage or news articles have ever been found to support this.
Bernie Kerik, who was the New York City police commissioner during the attacks and was born in New Jersey, confirmed there were reports of celebrations in several New Jersey towns.
The protests, or celebrations, I should say, of thousands of people that he claimed he saw on 9/11, which, interestingly enough, is starting to be backed up. Former police officers, witnesses, teachers.
I've witnessed with my own eyes and several of my other officers, Muslims in the street on Main Avenue dancing and cheering and celebrating like.
Absolutely no footage or news articles have ever been found to support this.
That this can happen with nobody knowing about it.
I'm a firefighter in New Jersey, and I just heard you say about the Palestinians celebrating over there from this bombing.
Awful.
They're doing it right in Patterson.
What are you talking about?
Patterson.
What's going on?
They're after yesterday's bombing, that they were out in the streets. The police were out there having problems with riots because they're out there celebrating the bombing of the Trade Center. So it's right here in our own country.
Did they get arrested?
They should be.
I don't have any information. I don't have information on that. I just know that we're on a high alert here because of the federal building in Patterson, and they said they're out there celebrating. So we got to kick the crap out of them in our own country.
I can't even fathom why someone in this country who enjoys the freedoms of this country would celebrate.
Isn't it true they call that place a little Iraq?
That I don't know.
I don't even want to. I just so don't want to believe that. But thank you for calling.
Let that sink in. He said he lost the popular vote because millions of people voted illegally.
Let's go through the numbers together. Probably about 43 million non-citizens reside in the United States. Of those, how many are illegal? 10, 12, 20? I don't know. None of them vote? None of those people vote. 43 million people here. None of them vote. Now, President Trump would say, well, 5 to 6 million voted. The left would say none of them voted. My guess is it's somewhere in between.
Here, what evidence do you have to draw the conclusion that there's substantial voter fraud?
In 2014, the Journal of Electoral Studies published a paper that analyzed extensive polling data, a peer-reviewed scientific journal, and found that somewhere between 38,000 at the very low side and 2.8 million on the high side, non-citizens voted in the 2008 election. Now, that analysis has been extended to 2012 with similar results. And also, what the media is failing to say, and so-called fact-checkers, is a number of these so-called experts that have debunked this study have donated to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign and a George Soros-funded PAC.
A commission he put together to find this widespread fraud never found any.
That's a lie. With the stroke of a pen, President Donald Trump disbanded his Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. Trump issued an executive order decommissioning the group he had previously charged with looking into the 2016 election.
A commission he put together to find this widespread fraud never found any.
In a statement, the White House maintained its position that there is substantial evidence of voter fraud, but said the commission can't move forward because many states have refused to hand over rolls of voter data.
He's argued that global warming is a hoax created by the Chinese.
I think the biggest unknown is what Donald Trump actually thinks.
We do not know what the president actually believes about global warming, which, as I said, is a bit odd because it's a simple yes or no. And
Does the president believe climate change is a hoax?
Does President Trump still believe climate change is a hoax?
Can you say whether or not the president believes that human activity is contributing to the warming of the climate?
Does the president still believe global warming is a hoax?
The president believes in a clean environment, clean air, clean water. He's received awards as a businessman.
Do you agree that climate change is a pressing problem?
No. I think that clean air is a pressing problem.
Does the president believe in climate change, Ambassador?
That he is absolutely intent on making sure that we have clean air, clean water.
You want to have clean air, you want to have clean water.
Clean air, clean water.
So I want clean air, I want clean water, very important.
And clean air and clean water.
America is among the very cleanest air and cleanest water on the planet. I want clean air, I want clean water.
What does President Trump really feel about climate change?
Well, if it's global warming or it's climate change or it's sea level rise, it's all about clean air and clean water.
I want the cleanest water on earth. I want the cleanest air on earth.
No planes, no energy. When the wind stops blowing, that's the end of your electric. Let's hurry up. Darling? Darling, is the wind blowing today? I'd like to watch television, darling.
He's argued that global warming is a hoax created by the Chinese.
So does he think that climate change is a hoax or not a hoax, or it's real?
So I think that's based on a tweet.
He's argued.
He's argued that global warming is a hoax.
And right, I just love that. Through a tweet, we're supposed to understand all of his policies.
And the president has adamantly denied that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
Surprised that there's any conflict on this. What I said there is that I believe he believes that, and that's very important for somebody to believe. I believe that he feels that he and Russia did not meddle in the election. As to whether I believe it or not, I'm with our agencies, especially as currently constituted.
Russians interfered in the 2016 campaign election.
Well, they meddled, but I think China meddled too.
As for his latest conspiracy theory, though, dangerously claiming that Epstein was murdered by the Clintons, the White House is defending it.
It's a joke, dumbass!
I need everybody to listen and pay attention. Ever since President Trump retweeted me, people have been sending me death threats, threatening me every single day, telling me I better watch my back. And now Facebook is after me. Facebook has sent out their fact checkers to fact check my page. They are telling my followers that my page is fake news, that my content is fake news. I am a comedian. How can you fact check a joke? I have never in my life heard about somebody fact checking a joke. What happened to free speech? Please, President Donald Trump, do something about this free speech stuff. They are coming after conservatives and Trump supporters because 2020 is around the corner and they are trying to shut me down. If anything happens to me, y'all, just know somebody on the left did it. Somebody that don't like Trump did it, okay? Just know that.